Hi, this is Christina Rodriguez of Diva by Design in Harlingen, and I am here today talking with Sarah Hammond of Atlas. And tell me the whole, because I always get the name.
Yeah, well, what we do.
Yeah, what you
So
do.
people always say, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, let me tell you the name of the company. Atlas Electrical, Air Conditioning, Refrigeration, and Plumbing Services 24/7."
Because I never get the order right.
That's okay. My supervisors like to change the order. Like
really?
my air conditioner supervisor, he likes to say it's Atlas Air.
Right.
And the other guy says, no, it's Atlas Electrical. And then my plumbing team says, no, it's Atlas Plumbing. And then we do all the other stuff. So that's
There you
about
go.
right.
The important thing is what they do.
Right, what they do. And that they do it well and they love it.
Yes. And I've known Sarah for about 3 years. It's gone by quick. It seemed like 3 years. And when you invited me to OWE, which is Organization of Women Executives in McAllen, a women's networking group, which I love, and I've been a member ever since.
It's every third Thursday of the month. Anytime you guys want to go for lunch, every third Thursday, reach out to Christina or myself, and please join us at the OWE Organization for Women Only.
Definitely. And we love OWE, and we also love Fem City.
Yes.
Which is?
Fem City is every second Tuesday of the month, and it's in the evening from 6 to 8. It's a great event. It's all about a different type of networking. It's a little more closed, knit, so we only have a certain amount every single dinner. So you do have to RSVP ahead of time. So if you want to come to a dinner, come to Fem City. If you can make it for a lunch, come to OWE or come to both. Network with great women.
Both. I go to both. I love both. So and they are different, and it's great because you learn a lot of information during the luncheons, and we also have workshops for Fem City. And
yes, and she's our Fem City Collective Director in Harlingen. We're super excited that you're leading that, and you're doing phenomenal with it.
I love it.
Very excited.
And we're almost full, so we are limited to 25 members. I have 19
in the Harlingen area.
In Harlingen. So 19 of us right now. We have 5 spots left. So if you would like to join, let me know. You can message me here on Facebook. I'll answer you. I usually do pretty quick, especially when it's Fem City.
Yes, yes.
But so we're here today to talk about what your company does. And since I do interior design, one of the things that I think about when I am either decorating or designing a room is one of the things we talked about earlier is where the intake for the air conditioner is. I've had a client who when they built the house, they put the intake in the entryway and they wanted to put furniture in front of that vent. And I told them, well, you can't. I have to work around it. So if you could tell us why that is.
So it's really important, and what an intake is usually a square like this, and it has a grill on it, and that's where the air flows through to go up to the air conditioning unit. And it's really important that the air be allowed to flow properly through that vent. So if you cover that, then you're going to cause restriction to your airflow. That's going to damage your motors and your compressor, and your unit is not going to live as long because it does need proper air in order for it to facilitate your home. So you don't want to put any furniture in front of it. And you want to be really careful when you're designing a home. One of the things that we were talking about earlier is where are your vents? Not just the intake, but where are your vents? In my house, one of the vents that had been designed is in the restroom, in the bathroom, in the shower. So that vent gets rusted. I don't know how many times.
Wow.
Who did that design for that ductwork did not pay attention to the actual layout of the floor plan.
Right.
So you want to make sure that when you're looking at your design, that you're looking to see where your duct is going to come from and where those vents are going to be placed, and that you're not put where there's going to be a lot of humidity that's going to cause rust and mold and stuff, because of the wetness and the humidity on those vents. So you want to be careful with that.
Yes, I have one in my house that I replace every so often because it's in the bathroom, but it's right next to the tub shower combination. Same thing, it rusts. If it was closer to the door,
it would have less humidity, and it would, they would last longer, and you would have less expense. So you want to be careful with your duct design when you're going to do a new floor plan. One of the things that's really important that people don't pay attention to is the need to get a heat load calculation. And what that is it calculates how many windows you have, where you have the windows, whether they face the east, north, the locations of them, where the sun is going to come up, when the sun goes down, so that they know exactly what type of tonnage you need for your home. Normally, air conditioning companies will not do a heat load after the home is already designed, and you have a 3-ton, they're just going to go in and replace a 3-ton. So there's no heat load calculation because it's not a code, it's not a requirement for code, and if it's been working and that duct is designed for a 3-ton, you can't necessarily say, well, let me go upgrade to a 5-ton because I'm going to add in a room. You've got to change the duct design as well if you're going to increase your tonnage. So there's a lot of little things that homeowners don't pay attention to, that they think, oh, well, I can just replace this with a bigger unit and get better air. No, you can't. Your duct has to be designed for that tonnage of that unit, for it to go through properly and for every room to cool the way it's supposed to.
So very good information.
It's really, really important that when you're going to do, and you're purchasing an older home, that you're paying attention to those things, and that you're looking and you're getting your duct reviewed and the design of the ductwork.
That's very good to know.
Yes.
It's something that not everybody thinks of, like you said. And so y'all do the air conditioning, you also do electrical. And I have to say, full disclosure, I have hired Atlas to do plumbing, electrical, and air conditioning. So I've used 3 of your services, and I do recommend Atlas because one thing that I really like is the customer service. I'm all about treating my customers well, and so are you. And that is something that I've experienced for myself with all of your employees that I've worked with, and they're great. They're very professional, and they answer all of your questions, and they tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it.
I really like that. I really appreciate that. Referrals are everything, and that's what keeps the company growing, right? Customer service, our team, we talk about customer service all the time. We're human, we make mistakes every now and then, but we do own up to it, and we warranty everything that we do. So we just want the community to know that we stand behind our name. We wouldn't have been in business for 35 years if we didn't. So please give us an opportunity to serve you, and thank you so much for giving us that opportunity. But yes, you asked if we do electrical, and yes, we do. So one of the things about electrical, when you're looking at a new floor plan, is how many outlets you have, where the locations of the outlets are. You want to, sometimes people will only put 1 or 2 outlets in certain places, and then you have to get another drop down. And if your ceiling's already low and it's small and you can't get a guide to go through there, you're going to have holes stuck in corners. You're not going to want them, and you're going to have to hide them. So you want to make sure that you're looking at having enough outlets where you're going to have your internet, your cables, and all of those things, and making sure that you have enough on each wall, depending on how you're going to design and where you're going to put your furniture.
Right.
Like here we have the computers, and at first I was going to sit over here, but then we switched it to put it over here, and thankfully we had another outlet here on the floor, so we were able to base that out. So you want to make sure that you're getting with a designer when you're looking at a floor plan, because they can help you make sure that you facilitate enough outlets in your home for your electrical. You want to make sure that you have GFIs anywhere there's water, any kitchens, any restrooms. You want to make sure you have GFIs outlets in there. And you want to make sure you have an exhaust vent in your bathrooms. So you want to make sure that those floor plans have those exhaust vents. And if they don't, call Atlas and we'll install them for you.
Right. And those exhaust vents are very important, because if not, you're going to have a mold problem. And that's a big deal, especially here where it's humid all the time. Humidity. And then you're adding more to it when you take a shower, so you're swimming through your bathroom when you're done.
Yes. You also want to check your panels. Really important that you make sure that you have enough amperage, going into the house, and that you're going to be able to have all of that, load that you put on it. Some people have businesses out of their homes, and if you have a lot of electrical components, you can end up flipping your breaker because it's going to turn off because there's just too much load coming onto that panel. So you want to make sure that you have it diversified specifically for each location, and your home interior designer can take a look at that to see where you're going to be putting your stuff into, and if you need to get with an electrical company to make sure that you have enough load to handle any other equipment. Like doctors, they require lots of equipment, and a lot of that pulls a lot of electricity. So you want to make sure that you have your plugs in that one room that are set to that one breaker, that the breaker is going to be big enough to hold all of that heat load.
Definitely.
And another thing that's really important when you're talking about electrical, and I'm sorry, I just love this topic, right? So another thing that's really important is to make sure that your house is grounded. And so a lot of older homes need to have the ground rod. I mean, they go bad as well. I mean, the house has been there 20 years. What does it cost you to get an inspection of $85 to make sure that your house is grounded? Because if it's not, and if you get struck by lightning, it's going to burn out all your wires. You're going to have some mass damage on all your electrical components. Talking about having to buy a new computer, you know what I mean, or anything that's plugged in, appliances and all that other stuff. So save yourself $85 to get an inspection. Get the inspection, check your ground rods. Some homes require 2 ground rods and people just have 1 in it, so it doesn't protect enough. And surge protectors.
Surge protectors are very important. Yes.
Surge protectors are huge. Get them.
Yes, especially if you use your computer for your business all the time. You've got to plug it into a surge protector. My husband does technology, and that's the first thing he tells everyone is, where's your surge protector?
Buy as many as possible.
Exactly. And a good one.
Yes.
And when it does get struck by lightning, you've got to buy a new one.
Yes, that's true.
Because
many
they
people don't
last.
replace.
Yeah, you have to replace
or
it.
generators. Look into our
Yes.
generators. We here at Atlas, we install generators for you. We had one of the schools had to close yesterday because their lights went out at the school. And I was like, well, why did they call Atlas? We could have installed a generator for them. Just saying. Right? So if you're looking at it, we also install generators. They also do require certain electrical extras to be added to that generator. So please don't just go and buy one from Home Depot and think you can just plug it in and everything's going to work. Make sure that you get with a good electrical company that can back it up, because some people have plugged in generators that have caused fires. So you want to be careful with your stuff.
Definitely.
Make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're getting somebody who's certified.
And one thing when you're designing a home is that if you want under cabinet lighting in your kitchen, please do it when they're building and not after. I've run into that with a client. That's why we had Atlas come out and do the under cabinet lighting, but it was after everything was already built, the cabinets were in, the walls are in, and they have to run it differently than they would.
And it doesn't look as clean and pretty, because when you're still building, you can cut a proper hole. It'll look nice and clean and neat, and then all the stuff can run through there, all those cords and everything else. But when you don't do that, then you're having to make a hole behind another hole, and so you end up 2-3 patches, and then you get frustrated. But the electrical technicians can only run so much, and there's only so much room down there as well. So you want to make sure you're protected. We had one customer who we went to do some duct repair, but the technicians could only get so far because the roof was so small that they couldn't get to the duct. So one of the things that when you're designing your roofs, making sure that you have enough walkway passage so that if one of your ducts goes bad and it needs to be sealed, because there's rats and all kinds of animals, and they love that duct work, and they chew on it, and they make all these holes, and then you're like, how come my air conditioner's not working? Well, it has nothing to do with your air. It's like a flat tire. It's not going to go anywhere. So you need to make sure you seal that ductwork again. And their roof was so small you couldn't get to it, so the technicians could only get to a certain section of it. But then when they took the roof off because of the hail damage and everything, they called us out there, and then we were able to get through the rest of it. And they designed the roof a little bit higher up so the technicians could get to it. So you want to think about all those things when you're designing or when you're purchasing a house. What are some of the damages that I'm going to have to look at? How can I repair this? And if there's not enough airflow and there is no extra space, then you would be looking at mini splits, putting in something on your wall so that you can get enough airflow into those rooms. Because a lot of the older homes, there is no space up in their attics, and so you can't put any ductwork. And the last thing you want to do is see a big old, piece of metal, sheet metal going through your room. So
unless you really like industrial style.
Unless you really like industrial style, yes. But most of the time you would put mini split. And call us, we'll install it. And those also require extra electrical outlets. So please get with us, because we want to make sure that you're protected and you're safe when we do those.
Yeah, I've had to install mini splits in the building before, so I know.
Yes.
And they're not pretty.
No, they're not.
But they do work.
One of the other things that we were talking about in home designs is attic space, but closet space. And the reason I want to talk about closet space is, yes, we all need closet space. But if you have an air conditioner unit or you have a water heater up in your attic, the best thing for you to do is clean out a closet and move it down. It's going to cost you to move it down, but the moving it down will save you damages to your water heater leaking, paint damages. It just can cause so much more flooding. The smarter thing to do is look for a closet space in your home, and you as a designer, you can help somebody facilitate or put in a closet or make a little section for it, but they do need to look at relocating those water heaters, and those air conditioning systems.
I've always, for me as a homeowner, I've always wondered why would anybody put them up in the, I guess because they don't want to use the floor space for that.
I mean, there's only so much square footage, and
Yes.
they're trying to be as efficient as possible and throw everything up that can be hidden. But it costs a lot more for a technician to go out and go up into an attic.
Right.
We're talking about, it's 110 degrees here in the valley. Your attic is going to be 160.
Yeah.
So the technician's going to go up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be 160 degrees. They're going to charge you more because it's a lot more time consuming. Why is it time consuming? Because the technician is going to have to breathe at some point and come down, and they're going to have to take a couple of extra breaks because health-wise they would not survive.
Right.
So you're going to pay more money to get an air condition cleaned or to get the water heater, fixed or something up in an attic. But if it's in a closet or it's outside in your garage, it's a lot less expensive. There's a lot more freedom. There's a lot more airflow. It's just a protection. It's safety.
Easier to get to.
Easier to get to,
faster.
and it's better on your pocket. So
Yes.
move them
I'm
down.
grateful mine are both in closets.
Yes.
I know, so.
Move them down, and if you're looking to do that, get with Christina. She can redesign some stuff for you, look at your floor plan, help you out,
Help you with that.
figure out where to put that in your home.
Yeah. So, and then you do the plumbing.
Yes, the plumbing, the water heaters.
Plumbing,
Yes.
because that's another thing when you're planning a house or even an addition that needs plumbing.
And one of the things that we encounter sometimes, especially in the older homes, is the drainage. Those drain pipes sometimes get really, really clogged, and you have to go through certain outlets to make sure that you unclog them and you clean them. That can get pretty nasty. Sometimes the stuff can come back into the homes and stuff like that. So you want to be really careful. You want to get your plumbing checked out. You want to get a camera. It's going to cost you to put a camera through those pipes, but you're going to know where every pipe is going. If you don't put the camera through, you're asking for the plumber who didn't design the plumbing work to go out there and clean out those drain lines, and it can, cause all that junk to come back up into your house. So get a camera inspection. It's the smartest, safest thing for you to do. Get a camera inspection, know where those pipes are going through your home. Save yourself the heartache and the smell of the sewage coming back up. And it's part of the protection. That's why we have all these extra little tools. They wouldn't make them if it wasn't for a reason, and it's very safe. It's safety precautions.
Yes.
So you want to get a camera inspection of your plumbing.
Definitely. That's one thing that when we have an older home, and luckily it's a pier and beam, so it's easy to find where the pipes go because you can actually pull up the floor and look. Whereas in a slab, you can't do that unless you really, like using a jackhammer.
Yeah, no,
So-
and a lot of the older homes, you can't get through to them because the whole floor is concrete. And so you have to figure out how in the world you're going to run extra drain lines. And sometimes the safest and smartest thing is to add in a different drain line coming in from a different direction and then going up so it's not the same way. Because we had one customer, we can't get to his shower. They can't use it. They can't get to the shower because you've got to cut a whole bunch of concrete. We told them there's no point. I mean, you're going to rip your whole floor through 3 rooms in your house just to get to that. Just go outside, stick another pipe in, dig it, trench it, stick another pipe in as close as possible, and then you only damage that one room. And that's part of it. I mean, homeowners are going to have to repair those things.
Yes.
So you want to be really careful with your piping.
Definitely.
And the older homes that had the cast iron, they start to corrode in from the inside, and then you get a lot of sewage back up. So you want to know what kind of pipes are in that home when you're purchasing a home. Extremely important.
Very important.
Yes.
So, and then I have questions because we were talking, you mentioned your office and the way you have it set up, because not only do I do interior design, but I incorporate feng shui into the interior design because I am all about, the biggest thing I am about is the clutter and getting rid of it. And the other is,
Don't look behind my door. That's right. I don't like clutter.
yeah, but that's not very much, and I'm looking at it as that's good. But if you use it, it's not necessarily clutter either. Clutter is usually things that you don't use, that projects you don't finish, all that stuff that you shove in the closet when company's coming over that you don't want them to see. Is, and one of the things with interior design is planning for where you're going to put all of your stuff. And so when you do your office, like you were talking about where you were going to situate your desk. And one of the things in feng shui is to put it in the command position, which is how you have your desk. And
Yay.
that means that you can survey your domain from your desk.
Well, I thought there's no windows over here, and I like my back up against a wall,
Yes.
so I have all my windows and I get to see everything. That's how I like to sit.
That's exactly how you're supposed to sit, with your back to a wall. And the
Yes.
reason is the wall, see, you didn't even know. The wall symbolizes a mountain and safety. And so behind you, if there's a wall, it feels safe. If you're facing the other direction and people are coming in behind you, it's very vulnerable feeling. With the window behind you, the same thing. So if you have to sit that way, if there's no other way to place your desk, I always say put a mirror up so you can see who's coming from behind you.
Yeah. Yes.
So your desk and your office is set up very well for feng shui, so you're
Thank
good.
you. I'm excited.
And that's something too that it's also about balance and throughout the home. And when you got to balance everything, the plumbing, the electrical, the AC, you have to plan for all of that. It's always better to have a plan before you start work.
Before you start working,
yes.
before you buy, know what you're going to
Definitely.
get yourself into. A lot of costly extra stuff that you can, save yourself money on if you just get with somebody who is knowledgeable in those areas.
Right.
Whether it's our company to do, your AC, your electrical, and your plumbing work, or somebody who's going to look at your floor plans, help you figure out closet spaces, locations of furniture, and colors, because it all is about your feeling and your safety. And when you walk in, it's home,
Yes.
or your business.
Your business too, yeah. Both. It doesn't matter whether it's your business or your home. You need to plan before you do, so you know everything's going to go, and it's going to work for you, and your work will be more efficient because you've planned ahead for what you're going to do.
So call us a planning duo.
That's
Just
right.
saying. We will plan for you. Give us a call.
Okay, and I just want to thank you, Sarah,
Thank
for
you.
talking with me today and giving us all this really good information that people can use when they're looking for a home, or they already live in a home and they need to remodel, or just to think about what's actually going on in their house that they may need to look at.
Well, we're super excited. Anytime you want to talk about HVAC, electrical, or plumbing, give me a call,
She knows what you're talking about.
I know what we're talking about. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. This has
Really
been
appreciate
Christina Rodriguez and Sarah Hammond, and I want to thank you for joining us here on the Diva's Home, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.